When it comes to World War II strategy games, consoles haven't had the biggest release schedule. While it feels like some genres get a new one every year, for strategy fans, it's been few and far between. But before the launch of Company of Heroes 3 on Xbox this year, let's look at the game that's been the mainstay for World War II console strategy fans since 2017. That is Sudden Strike 4. So in this video, I will briefly go through what Sudden Strike 4 is, how the game works on consoles, and finally, a quick look at if the game is for you. So let's get into it. Okay, first and foremost, Sudden Strike 4 is a real-time tactics game, which for those unfamiliar, is a sub-genre of real-time strategy games. In an RTS, you build bases, organize resources, and build troops. However, real-time tactics are a lot more similar to a game of chess. You're generally given your units at the start, and rarely, if ever, are given more troops. The game focuses on your units surviving and using your tactics to outmaneuver and outsmart your opponent. The RTT genre is a lot more of a battle simulator than a micromanagement builder. So think of Sudden Strike 4 more like World War II Warhammer Tabletop than Age of Empires. So being a fan of traditional RTS games doesn't mean you inherently enjoy Sudden Strike 4 battles. With that out of the way, let's talk about the game overall. By now, you'll probably notice that Sudden Strike 4 is set during World War II and has a range of different units including troops, tanks, artillery, and supply vehicles. In most situations, you only have the troops you start off with. Yes, in skirmishes you can take over points that will provide extra vehicles like a train station, and in the campaign missions you'll get checkpoint reinforcements. However, those are the exceptions, because the gameplay focuses on you spending your time maneuvering your troops into position and scouting the enemy. Where a lot of the game's depth comes from is the range of abilities and skills your different units have. So for example, you can have your tank crews jump out of their tanks, you can order troops to throw grenades, and even tow vehicles. So instead of building bases, you'll be focusing on placing your troops into position and using your unit skills. Another unique aspect of the game is that units use ammunition and vehicles also use fuel. This adds another layer of gameplay, as you'll need to constantly keep on top of the supplies during battles, because there is nothing worse than losing a tank because it ran out of fuel. As for the game modes, you can play skirmish and online battles. However, I wouldn't say that is the biggest draw of the game. Sudden Strike 4 shines in its numerous campaign missions based on history and bonus historical footage. The game has missions based on different historical battles throughout World War II. So the base game has campaigns for the Germans, Soviets, Allies, and since its launch, they've released the Complete Edition, which has the DLCs bundled together. So this includes maps and missions based off Dunkirk, Finland, Africa, and the Pacific campaign. When it comes to skirmishes, you can play as the Germans, Allies, French, Finnish, Soviet, Italians, and Japanese. Now these modes mostly consist of you starting off with troops and capturing points to slowly call in reinforcements. When it comes to the maps, the game has various different settings with multiple environmental obstacles and terrains. Even for a game launched on the previous generations of consoles, it never gets old to see the destructible terrain. It makes the game feel more immersive to watch tanks go through fields or troops crawling to stay hidden. Sudden Strike 4 on console runs smoothly. I rarely had issues with performance. However, some issues arise with the controller layout, unit selection, and overall feedback when you try to make an action. The controls at the start feel unintuitive. This felt especially true if you've been playing another strategy game on the console. In saying that, there are some strong ideas like holding the A button on Xbox to select your units, and then using your left thumbstick to change the size of the selection circle, which is an idea I hope other console strategy games look into. But one of the major issues I had when playing was when I was trying to use unit abilities, because I was rarely given any indication if they'd been activated. I would often be wondering if I had clicked the wrong button or even if I just misclicked. But the controls and feedback aside, I must admit that the more I played Sudden Strike 4, the more I got used to it. And that's ultimately one of the biggest factors of console strategy games. Because if the controls never become easier, the game can become tedious. And luckily I can say that I did get used to the controls. But there are some other issues, like the game's zoom, cover system, and telling the difference in units. So for example, for a game focused on tactics and combat, it barely actually lets you zoom in close to see your troops. And this is also made worse in the times you're trying to tell a difference between different infantry types. It would have also been nice to see a deeper cover-based system for units. However, like I was talking about before, a lot of the issues people may have with the game can be because of the tactics-based gameplay. So for anyone wanting a fast-paced, base-building, rush the enemy RTS, then this may not be the experience for you. Overall, if you're looking for a real-time strategy game like Company of Heroes or Age of Empires, then Sudden Strike 4 may not be the game for you, because it really is an experience that you need to understand is not a traditional real-time strategy game. In saying that, if you're a gamer who enjoys the World War II setting, who likes strategy games about tactics with slower pace where every unit position and skill needs to be calculated, who wants a game that is closer to a battle simulator that mixes part realism with gameplay, then Sudden Strike 4 might be the game for you.
Thank you for watching and please subscribe.